To dye sparse silk, cut off 3-meter pieces, fold them diagonally, starting from the corner. First fold it twice, then 4 times. I poured white wine vinegar into a boil of hot water, about a glass per 10 meters of silk. I soaked all the pieces of silk in this solution. Left it aside so that silk is well saturated. I decided to dye it with Victoria dyes. I took the blue, green, yellow and black dyes. Black one came in a bag. I poured all the dyes into hot water so that they are well dissolved. I had some red leftover dye, so I decided to add a little bit of this one too. Rin out your silk well and put it on the foam. It would fold it 4 times. I folded it again. It turned out to be 8 folds here. In a separate jar of hot water, I mixed dyes to see what color suits me most. Check it on a piece of paper. This time the color did not suit me, so I decided to take another dye. I didn't have a light blue Victoria dye, so I took a marabou dye. It is also suitable for dyeing silk. I'm not afraid to mix dyes from different manufacturers. I also diluted the blue dye with hot water so that it dissolves well. Add blue dye to a bowl of hot water, a little bit of yellow and green, a drop of blue, a drop of black, and a drop of red. It still seemed very light, so I also added more blue, more yellow, and finally the color suited me, and I started to dye the silk. I didn't apply dye evenly. only to specific places, in order to get different color transitions. Then I decided to dye the second piece of silk in the same way. Next, I decided to add a little yellow to this dye in order to slightly change the tone to get a more turquoise greenish color. And add a drop of red dye. Applied it in the same way to the white areas of silk, but did not cover them completely. Next, I added blue to the same dye, more light blue, and a drop of red, and applied this dye to some places. Next, I pressed the silk a little with my hands so that the dye moved between the layers and mixed well with the fabric. I decided that I didn't have enough greens, and I put some green dyes in separate jars, added a little blue, and also applied it on the silk. As silk was pre-soaked in hot water with vinegar, the dye is absorbed very quickly, and the coloring becomes uneven. When I was satisfied with the result, I wrapped the silk in film and put it into a garbage bag and tied it with a knot. I will dye the next piece of silk in grey tones. For this, I use black dye, pretty diluted. I added a little black dye to the water with vinegar where the silk was soaking. Stirred it there and let the fabric absorb the dye. For greater reliability, I added a little more vinegar and set it aside for better absorption of the dye. In a couple of minutes, I wring out the silk and put it on the film. I diluted black dye in a jar of hot water so that it won't be so concentrated, but it still should be darker than the dye in which I soaked the silk. I also added vinegar to this dye so that the dye could be quickly absorbed by the silk and contrasting section appear. When the result suited me, I wrapped the silk in plastic film. I poured some water into the pan. About a half of pan was filled with water. Put silk inside. Cover it with a lid and set for boiling for 40 minutes. Silk floats like this, wrapped in film under the lid, and it is steamed very quickly. After simmering for 40 minutes, turn it off and let it cool down. I decided to dye another piece of silk a little differently to get smoother color transitions. I added hot water to a solution remaining from the grey dye. I added vinegar and silk. I put the silk folded 8 times. And I began to add the dye which I had left from dyeing the previous piece of silk. I applied it unevenly to get a color transition so that it was not just turquoise. Added a little green dye and stir the silk a little. Dyes can get into light areas of fabric and a smooth transition appears. I wrapped the silk in a film, put it in a pan and boiled for 40 minutes. Remember that after drying the dyes on the silk become lighter.